What up, Drone Masters? Drone Master Sal here, and today we're talking about the Hubsan H501s, and specifically how you can actually get good filming with this drone. If you own this drone and you're looking for filming tips or ways to capture images that you can put into a vlog, that kind of stuff, I'm going to go over a few tips that I have used for my own vlogs, my own videos, in order to get a bit more of a cinematic look to my video. Now, I have to say that this drone is probably not the best out there for just filming strictly. You know, it doesn't have a gimbal, obviously. It's more of a sport drone. It comes in at a lower price point. When I first got this is about $300, but the price point has dropped a lot since then. So this is more of a drone for you if you want to get used to flying this, you want to take some cool photos, some cool videos, you don't want to break the bank when it comes to investing in one of these drones. I think that's why this is a really great drone to start with. So my first tip for you is to be realistic about the actual duration of a clip that you're going to need when you're inserting it into a vlog video or B-roll or something like that. So you have this guy going out there, you're taking off, you're going around different directions. It's always going to be really shaky footage because it doesn't have a gimbal. But the good news is, in order to insert B-roll into a video, you really only need about 5 seconds worth of B-roll. So the goal when you're going out there, you're trying to actually take film quality videos with your drone, it should be to get a good 10 seconds of footage. To get a good 10 seconds of either moving in one direction or one scene or whatever you're doing, try to count out loud while you have your remote. 1, 2, 3, 4, go all the way to 10. And by doing that, you're gonna make the editing process so much easier, because I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten back to my laptop after filming with this thing and I'm like, oh man, I wish I had just spent like 3 more seconds doing that same motion, or 3 more seconds on that view. It would have made a lot more sense. I'd be able to paste this in a lot more nicely, but because I only spent like 1 or 2, it wasn't a footage or a clip that I could use in one of my vlogs. So that's the first tip. Realize the entire flight does not have to be, super stable. You just need 10 seconds of good footage in one direction or doing the type of camera movement that you want. The second is to understand the different types of camera movements that are out there. So I want to first talk about, one direction, and then we'll get into some other more advanced techniques. So the first is, let's talk about the not so great directions with this drone. So this drone, naturally, if there's going to be wind, is going to be a little bit shaky. You know that if you're going down, you're descending with the drone, it's going to be shaky trying to stabilize itself. So going in a downward motion usually is not that great for filming, at least with the Hubsan H501s. Now also, when you're moving left or you're moving right, you're also going to get a weird camera angle where it's going to be kind of tilted. So that's not a really cinematic kind of looking view. So that's also, we can cross that off as a movement for taking good film. The next is when you're moving about like this, right or left. I think that's called the yaw. You're going left or right. This is usually not a great camera movement either, because it really accentuates the side of the actual visual. So it makes it have this fisheye kind of look. The ends or the outsides of the images are actually distorted when you're rotating about like that. So that's also not a great filming angle for the drone. What I would say are some good filming angles are, number one, when you're ascending. When you're ascending either quickly or slowly, that's usually what I found to be a pretty good or pretty interesting shot that you can include in different footage, particularly if there's stuff surrounding you. And you can actually tell because of the background that you're moving upwards. It's kind of more of an interesting shot that you can include in your videos. The next is when you're moving forward, and this is probably the best shot that you can get with this drone. When you're just very simply moving forward, either slowly or quickly, it's going to get a really cool, if you're going quickly, view over the entire landscape below. In addition, when you're moving slowly, it's going to have more of like a slight movement to that camera angle, so it's kind of cool. And you're also getting more of a stabilized view of the actual terrain. I personally haven't found it to be, that great to have more of a backwards kind of view or angle. I could see if you're more maybe low to the ground, you could use that. Typically, from my experience, if you are moving around and moving forward or backwards, the camera for some reason stabilizes a little bit more than if you're just kind of holding it here. But that's going to vary based on the wind, based on a lot of the other factors. I do think that if you want a good landscape, you can literally just float the drone, let it stay there for 10 seconds, get that really good clip, and then go to another landscape, let it stay for 10 seconds, get another good clip. There are even more advanced techniques. Once you get to beyond just one angle or one direction of movement, you can actually do compound movements. So for example, you are moving forward and you're also moving up. So it kind of creates a neat effect where you're moving forward and up, and the camera looks like it's ascending but also moving forward. I've used that in some of my videos. I found that to be a really cool effect. You could also play around with combining other movements. So maybe as you're moving downwards, you're also spinning the drone, or these different things. These are interesting ways you can sort of play around with it, but definitely combining two movements is one way to get more of a cinematic shot, as long as you can get not shaky footage, at least 10 seconds worth of stabilized footage. Now, aside from understanding what goes into a good clip and also understanding the angles and such, there is another way that you can get more cinematic or better looking footage for your actual videos, and that's quite simply to take more risks. Something that's not so risky is just to sort of fly up in the sky and take some landscapes. Like, that's cool, but really the more risky shots are when you're actually risking your drone to hit the side of something or to crash into the ground. Those are a bit more risky shots, but you can get really more interesting ones. So for example, when I was on the beach in El Salvador, I was going out there really far by the cliffs, and I knew that I could potentially, bump into a cliff, or something could happen, a gust of wind could take it, it could bump into a cliff and it would go in the ocean. That's true, but it also allowed me to get a lot more interesting shots. Or doing things like having this follow me while I'm biking around. That's a little bit more of an advanced thing. You could probably have some bad things that come of that, but at the same time, it's gonna make a much more interesting shot. In addition, even following, for example, when it's very close to the ground, that makes a really cool angle, really interesting, and then maybe all of a sudden you go up and you ascend really quickly. Like, that's a really neat camera angle, but it's also kind of risking your drone a little bit. Now, if you are planning on taking film with your drone, you also have to obviously have the right equipment. So I totally recommend getting backup batteries. Getting backup batteries so that maybe if your first run isn't that great, you can then do another run. You already have them all charged. You have to go back home, charge your drone, and then go out again. In addition, when I was in El Salvador filming, I ended up crashing my drone and one of the propellers broke off. So had I had backup propellers, I'd be able to keep going. Unfortunately, because I didn't bring them, I wasn't able to use the drone for the rest of my trip. So I missed out on a lot of filming opportunities. So just having some extra equipment is gonna make it so that you're ready for any situation. Lastly, I am the type of guy where I sort of tell it like it is. I'm not always the most prepared person. I'm much more of like a high level thinker. I'm not really into the details or the nitty gritty. So what usually happens to me is I'll get to a location and I'll realize, because I'm dumb, that I forgot something at home. Like, I forgot the micro SD card, or I forgot, one propeller or something like that. So I have to sort of combat this weakness that I have. And one way that I found that's pretty easy to do is to get some kind of a packaging like this. So this is a very, very simple briefcase that basically houses all of the different components in the drone. So you can see here some of the cool stuff. It pretty much just all fits in there nicely. That way I can very easily identify that I have, my batteries, that I have my flight material, etc., so that I don't forget anything. Organization is kind of boring. I think it's kind of boring, at least. And I don't really like the whole concept of being like a super neat freak, but I have found that by being more organized with my filming, it leads to better results. I don't forget things. I'm not as forgetful or scatterbrained, and I can just very easily get the shot and get out. It sounds like I'm robbing a bank or something. Get the shot and get out. But I think anyone out there who is like me will relate. So make sure you pick up either some kind of bag or some kind of briefcase like that in order to be more organized with your filming. If you are interested, I'll include a link to that equipment down below. You can check it out. It's worked out pretty well for me. Hopefully it will also work out well for you. Now, if you've enjoyed this sort of like no-nonsense approach to drone filming, I also have a video on getting set up with your Hubsan, some also tips that I have for flying the drone, etc. But if you want more tips when it comes to filming, that is something that I can help you out with. So I've been growing when it comes to my own journey with filmmaking by getting better lenses, getting better camera equipment, using things like different types of microphones. I initially just started out literally with my smartphone. That's what I was using to film vlogs. That's what I was using to film more educational videos, and it's really upgraded since there. So I would love to share more filming tips with you if you are interested in that. So let me know in the comments down below if that's something you want me to cover in future videos. Go into my filming equipment, go into some other tips I have with the editing process, and how to make your videos more engaging, more emotionally engaging, and get people to watch them more. I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video from Drone Master Sal. Go out there, test out things, try out things with your own drone. Remember, this is a fun hobby. Don't ever let anyone take that away from you. That at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. It's all about the freedom that you feel with flying one of these things and being taken back to maybe those adolescent dreams of wanting to be a fighter pilot or wanting to fly planes. It's all about that, guys. So keep it fun, keep it real, and I hope that those tips and advice helped you.